but we may be seeing the formulation of a game plan and tactics from this training footage from Gervonta Davis.
Anybody that gets in the ring with Tank that is not a damn dinosaur is going to feel something from him. And it ain't going to be easy to hit it.
Gervonta Davis has the boxing world on edge after new training videos showed a scary change. In him before his fight with Jake Paul, the undefeated champion looks stronger and more explosive than ever, showing off a bulked-up body and fierce strength in the gym. Fans say this is the most deadly version of Davis yet, and Jake Paul could be fighting a monster in top condition. Davis is no stranger to going viral, and he has a reputation for being one of the most powerful punchers in modern boxing. Traditionally, he has been regarded as one of the most intimidating figures in the sport, known for his brutal knockouts and his composed demeanor before a fight. But this new video is different. Davis used to emphasize speed, precision, and movement in his camps, which are the things that make him the best lightweight. This time, though, everything about him seems bigger, meaner, and more planned. The fighter, who is typically small, now looks like he has gained a lot of lean muscle. The change is both remarkable and scary.
My biggest fear, I don't never want to get embarrassed. You know?
What you mean? How would you get embarrassed?
Well, it's like me not doing my job. Feel me? Like, I'm not worrying about nobody else because I know skill for skill, none of these guys can mess with me. Nobody. I feel like my skills is way better than like Floyd. Like if I'm on my game, well, I take it probably hand in hand. But skill-wise, nobody on TV that's fighting right now have more skills than me. Nobody. Like talking about top to bottom list of fighters that's fighting on TV.
So what that got to do with you being, I guess, embarrassing? Like, cause again, we see you make posts on a story like the fight not happening. Like,
cause I don't never want to. Like, me not doing my job, like, all the way, like, me not training all the way, me not, you know? So, that's what made me, like, so I was supposed to been in camp, you know? And I wasn't in camp, so it was me, like, all right.
Oh, okay.
It pissed me off so bad that I was like, all right, I don't even want to fight.
Telling him not to underestimate the tiny warrior who is better at fighting. Chambers agreed that Jake was bigger and stronger, but he said that Davis's speed, sharpness, and knockout power make him one of the most dangerous fighters pound for pound. Chambers remarked that Tank will make you seem horrible if you're not a monster yourself. His views are obviously related to the increasing controversy about the fight, specifically whether Jake's stature can make up for Tank's elite skills. Chambers thinks the answer is apparent. Jake Paul can't get away from Gervonta Davis no matter how big he is.
That something like this can happen, but this is social media, this is what is created. There's a lane that Jake Paul has created. Honestly, I'm not mad at him for it. It's gotten a lot of fighters and, you know, actual fighters some shine. It also has done for women's boxing a lot. So I'm not mad at him for what he's been in boxing, what he's created. This is a little crazy right here. This is a little crazy. And a lot of people will say, Tank is too small. Let me tell you something. Anybody that gets in the ring with Tank that is not a damn dinosaur is going to feel something from him. And it ain't gonna be easy to hit it. Got boxing IQ. He may not sound like an intellectual guy when you hear him talk, but he knows the ring inside and out. So there's nothing that Jake Paul can do aside from make it extremely ugly by grabbing him and probably trying to throw him to the ground. I don't know what else, bite him. I don't know, but I mean, the skill level alone. Now, of course, there is a size difference, a height difference and all that, but he's just gonna struggle so much landing a shot. You know, it's just gonna look bad. To me, this is the way I see it. It's gonna look bad. Tank is gonna be too fast. And the punch, I believe, I'm not saying it's gonna knock him out or, you know, but he's gonna feel it.
Davis is sending a scary message before his battle with Jake Paul by saying he could beat up a 300-pound fighter who has never fought before. Davis isn't lying when he says he has explosive power and lightning-fast hands. It doesn't matter how large he is. In an interview, Tank remarked, "I can handle him if he doesn't know how to fight. Skill always wins over size." The lightweight champion who hasn't lost yet stressed that boxing isn't simply about being strong. It's all about timing, technique, and accuracy. Davis thinks that even though his opponent weighs 300 pounds, his speed, agility, and knockout power would make him almost impossible to hit.
What do you think is the minimum weight of someone that could beat you in a fight?
Minimum weight?
Yeah,
Right.
someone's like 250
Yeah, probably like, 250, 220 or some shit like that.
with no experience.
All right, yes, sir.
Someone with no experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, hell no. They gotta have experience to beat me.
No, but like a 300 guy, no experience. You think
Nah,
you could beat him?
I'm whooping that ass. I'm whooping that ass.
Even if Davis's scary new workout footage and bigger body make him look tough, many fans and experts still think he's just too little to beat Jake Paul. Tank is only 5'5" tall and has fought most of his career at lightweight. He would be giving up a lot of height, reach, and weight to Paul, who is naturally bigger. Some people say that Davis's muscles don't matter in the ring and that Jake's 190-pound physique might take more abuse than Davis thinks.
All of a sudden, we want to know who will win in this fight, Jake Paul or Tank Davis. It's a legit question. And I actually want to really hear your thoughts on who do you think is going to win. Because I know what Vegas is saying, but I want to know what you think. You got
Personally, I think Tank too little, bro.
Yo,
I think Tank too little.
I'm so glad you have a brain on your fucking shoulder.
I think Tank
The
too
way
little.
I said, bro.
I think Tank's too little. That's what I'm saying. That weight class is for a reason.
Tank Davis
That weight class is for a reason.
5'5", 135 pounds. Jake Paul is 6 feet, 205
That's what I'm
pounds.
saying.
Dog.
He's too
6'1",
little.
205. Everybody's like, yeah, bro, but Tank it only takes one good punch. Yes, it takes one good punch when you're about the same size. There's a 60, 70 pound difference in weight in these people. I don't think nobody puts the physics in mind. Jake Paul gets punched in the face by dudes 200 pounds with all their might on a weekly basis. 135-pound puncher, bro. If y'all remember the Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight, Conor walks around like 180 on the regular. He's like 5'9", 180. Mayweather's like 5'7", 145. That 30-pound, 20, 30-pound difference, bro. If you remember that fight, Mayweather was putting mittens on Conor. Guess what happened to Conor? He didn't hit the ground once.
No.
He lasted all 12 rounds getting hit with flurries. I'm talking about Mayweather was having his time. He's being cocky with it, hitting him with all kind of combos. And we're watching the last 3 rounds of that shit like, yo, knock him out. And you know what? He could not knock him out because Conor gets punched by people that are 170, 180 pounds on a regular. And just that 20, 30-pound difference, it was like impossible for him to do anything. And that's exactly what I feel like is going to happen versus Jake.
Many fans are already comparing the impending battle between Jake Paul and Davis to the memorable exhibition fight between Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather. This is another classic case of size versus competence. Davis is a smaller, more technical, and far more experienced fighter, just like Mayweather. Jake, like his brother, uses size, strength, and anger to achieve what he wants. In the fight between Logan and Mayweather, Logan was able to stay upright because he was so much bigger, but Mayweather's timing and accuracy won the bout.
Tank Davis fight got moved to Miami.
I think Jake wins.
Jake's just so big, dude.
I think Jake wins.
This is different because it's similar. It's similar to Logan versus Mayweather, but
Jake
Jake
has better
Paul
boxing.
now obviously is way more advanced than where Logan was at that moment in time.
I mean,
Gervonta
it's
is
just
fucking sick.
I mean, yeah. No, but dude,
Did you
Jake.
ever watch his highlights?
Jake can
He's
crack,
nasty,
man.
bro.
He's so sick. I love that guy, bro.
Boxing expert Ado Ladipo had a critical view of this fight, saying that it was happening too soon in both boxers' careers. Unlike Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul, who fought in an exhibition after their prime years, Davis and Paul are still at the peak of their careers, according to Oladipo. Oladipo believes that this fight, which is more about the show than the legacy, could distract both boxers from more pressing issues. He said that the fight will make more sense later after they've done more in their categories. He thinks it's an unneeded diversion for now. That could make them lose sight of their genuine potential and long-term aspiration in the sport.
Whether you agree with it or not, Gervonta is considered the #1 lightweight in the world. And it's a division that includes Shakur Stevenson, a lot of young guns coming up. I'm not any more sure if it's going to include Keyshawn Davis, but it's a hot division. He's considered #1 in that division. Like, that's why I kind of find this a bit, I don't know. Like, there are challenges out there for Gervonta. There are big money fights out there for Gervonta. We want to see Gervonta in those fights. Again, I don't know how many fights people want to see AJ in, just to make the AJ Jake Paul comparison. One, as far as I'm concerned, that was Tyson Fury. I don't really have any interest in seeing an AJ in any other more fights. Whereas Gervonta Davis, I wanted and still do want to see him in so many more fights. So yeah, it's kind of weird. These exhibition things are, like, really and truly, they should all be when your career's done. Like, when you think of Floyd versus Logan Paul, done, right? Floyd versus Conor. Did he have one more after? Was that it? I can't even remember. But it was right at the end. It was done right at the end, even if it wasn't right at the end. These guys having these exhibition fights in between what is the peak of their career is kind of weird for me. Very, very weird. And then it isn't even comparable to Ngannou Fury, because at least these guys were the same size. Like Jake Paul is a 215, 220 pound guy. I don't know what he walks around at. Gervonta fights at 135. Guessing he walks around about 155.
Jake Paul himself talked about how his height, reach, and general size give him an edge over Davis during the press conference. He said that Tank's aggressive fighting style up close causes holes in his defense that Jake wants to take advantage of with his longer reach and power shots from the outside. Jake also said, though, that beating Tank wouldn't automatically make him a top fighter. Instead, he saw the battle as another stage in his growth, showing that he can compete with world-class opponents instead of suddenly becoming a top-tier fighter. He said things that were both strategic and humble, putting himself in a position of confidence but also being realistic. He wanted to build credibility via his performance rather than hype or one win.
I would say a lot of things, but I think first and foremost is going to just be my reach, my size, being able to keep him away. I think there's a lot of holes in his defense that a lot of people haven't exposed before, and he's a great fighter, one of the best. I'm excited. He's elevating me to a new height. He's making me push myself to my limits. I'm more locked in than ever, but at the end of the day, I know I'm going to be able to come out on top and outbox the guy who's been doing it for 7 times as long as me.
Jake just said that Tank has been boxing for 7 times as long as Jake has been boxing. They started out this press conference by saying Jake started boxing 5 years ago. So 7 times 5 is 35. Tank is what, 30?
Paul made it plain that he isn't scared of Gervonta Tank Davis. He said he'd shake Davis upside down if he saw him on the street. Paul remarked that even outside the ring, his stature, strength, and power offer him an advantage. He was sure of himself and ready to fight, so he didn't care about Davis's knockout reputation. He said Tank had never fought anyone as tough as him. Paul said, "He's too small to scare me." The comment spread swiftly, making things worse between the two sides. Davis is still focused on training, but Paul is talking big, saying he will show that power overcomes perfection. Fans are getting ready for an exciting bout when these two eventually meet in the ring. Both combatants are talking trash, and their confidence is through the roof.
A 5'8" little peon. If we were in the streets, I would grab that little ginger and smack him upside the head and make him forget who the fuck he was. People don't realize I'm a real killer. I really fucking do this shit. YouTube this, YouTube that, Disney that. This shit is not a joke. I'm knocking out the best of the best, beating all of these people time in and time again. And it's about time that you old heads and all these fucking boxers who think they know about the sport put some respect on my name.
A huge disparity in size between Davis and Paul, which makes it difficult to believe that it's fair and safe. Davis usually fights at 135 to 140 pounds. But on fight night, he would be up against a fighter who is over half a foot taller and up to 70 pounds heavier. The battle is slated for a catch weight of 195 pounds, but Jake Paul is projected to weigh about 215 pounds when the fight starts. Davis's weight in the ring, on the other hand, would probably stay close to 150 pounds. That's the kind of gap that usually exists between the lightweight and heavyweight classes, which boxing rules are meant to keep apart. A lot of boxing experts are using historical examples to show that ability can occasionally make up for big physical inequalities in boxing. David Haye, who weighed approximately 117 pounds, beat Nikolai Valuev, a 7-foot-tall heavyweight who weighed around 316 pounds. In 2009, that's about a 100-pound difference.
This is a tiny man, 5'5" and I reckon his in the ring weight is somewhere around 145 to 150 pounds. Meanwhile, Jake Paul is around 6 foot. We're not quite sure. I think he says he's 6'1" or 6'2". I've heard other people saying they think he's close to 5'11", 6 foot. But the point is, he's a much, much taller man. And in the Mike Tyson fight, he was over 220 pounds. So the size difference is massive. This fight's been made at 195-pound catch weight. But after Jake's rehydrated, assuming there's no rehydration clause, which I don't believe there is, he'll probably weigh around 215 pounds in the ring. That means there's a sort of a 60 to 70 pound difference between the two men in the ring on fight night, which is absolutely enormous. There are weight classes for a reason in boxing, and this is the sort of thing that is typically not allowed or permitted. And like I said in my intro, it goes to the heart of that key question in boxing, which is how big is too big? It's the reason that the pound for pound list exists, where we kind of imagine if everybody was the same size, who's the best, who's number one? And it's a debate that rages on and on and on. And so when I see a fight like this, I think the hardcore boxing fans, generally speaking, have felt frustrated by it. Yes, because we want Gervonta Davis as part of the actual sport, competing for world titles against the other elite guys in his weight class. But also because if he gets knocked out and loses to Jake Paul, it creates this illusion that Jake Paul's much better than he actually is. And so I guess the question for me is, can Gervonta Davis beat Jake Paul, or will Jake Paul simply be too massive? Can Jake Paul use his size, or will Gervonta Davis simply be too skilled? What's the answer here? And in trying to answer this, I looked to history, and there's one fight that immediately popped out of my mind, and I thought, I wonder what the size difference was there. In fact, it may even be more significant, and it was, and the small guy won. Some of you might be thinking about it right now. It's when David Haye took on the monster, the absolutely ginormous human being, Nikolai Valuev. I think it took place around 2009. So at the time, I was literally a teenager. I didn't have a clue what I was looking at, and I'd fully bought into this David versus Goliath story. But I think it's an excellent example here to draw comparisons between the Gervonta Davis-Jake Paul fight to try and understand whether or not this is a good template and blueprint to try and predict and understand what the size difference might look like in the ring. Now, David Haye was 6'3" and was 217 pounds for the Valuev fight.
Val was bigger and had a better reach, but Haye outboxed him and won the decision with better speed, timing, and movement. Many people say that this bout is a perfect illustration of David versus Goliath in modern boxing. The narrator uses it to say that Gervonta Tank Davis might still win. Even though he is much smaller than Jake Paul, this match shows that sometimes great technique and planning can make up for a lack of physical bulk.
This means that the weight gap was just a tiny bit under 100 pounds, which is obviously 40 pounds more, 35 pounds more than the gap between Davis and Paul. And there was a 9-inch gap in their height versus what seems to be a 7-inch height gap between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. And if you go back and watch that fight, David Haye wins it fairly comfortably. He uses his speed, his power, he moves around the outside of the ring and comprehensively outboxes Valuev, even hurting him at one point in the fight. I remember getting so excited seeing it and thinking, God, he's actually managed to wobble the giant. This is ridiculous. And so on the surface, that was a bigger gap, a harder fight for David Haye than Gervonta Davis might find Jake Paul as an opponent. The size gap was significantly bigger. And Nikolai Valuev was a guy who won over 50 fights. You know, this was an actual competitive heavyweight boxer who'd beaten some decent names.
Baden Ross, a well-known streamer, is sure that Jake Paul will shock the world when he fights Gervonta Davis. He thinks that anyone who doubts Jake's prospects just doesn't know anything about boxing. Ross said that Jake has become better with each bout and now has what it takes to battle a top fighter. He doesn't care what people say about Jake being just a YouTube return fighter. He says Jake has already proven himself in the ring. In addition, Paul recently said that he has passed all USADA drug tests before his fight with Tank. He achieved this by consenting to random testing conducted by the esteemed anti-doping body. Paul wants to shut up people who say he uses drugs to improve his performance. His no excuses declaration comes at a time when people are paying more attention to how quickly his body has changed. And he's using this fight to show that his strength and stamina come from hard work, not drugs.
For all of you Karens who accuse me of being on steroids as the reason for winning all of my fights, we have the strictest drug testing possible for this match. U.S. Anti-Doping Agency. Random drug tests at any moment. Oh look, they're here now.
Hey USADA, be in the car. Looking good. See if you're on steroids. Clean as a whistle, contrary to what they say.
Overall, experts agree that the fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis isn't just a boxing contest. It's a show for the whole world. With Jake's crossover fame and Tank's exceptional skill, the bout goes beyond normal matches like Canelo versus Crawford, showing that entertainment value and mainstream appeal can rule the modern boxing scene.
You know what I mean? Especially Tank been talking about retiring, so why not get the bag and then go about your business if that's your plan? I mean, if that's your plan to retire, then go get the bag and go about your business. You ain't doing nothing wrong. I'm not against it.
You got some people that are very critical, Tank. Does it make sense depending on what you're in boxing for. Because you got some people that want to fight the best. You got some people that want the accolades, the belts, you know, the undisputeds. And you got some people that just came in this game like, look, I'm trying to get my family out of poverty and give us generational wealth. Does it all depend on what you decided to box for?
Well, I mean, Tank accomplished a lot at a young age.
Will Tank's talent and strength be too much for Jake Paul's stature and confidence? Or will Jake surprise everyone again? We invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below.